Shalom, giving all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Arachakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops, the great millstone that rule well. As always, peace, blessings, and citations to the tabernacle of David, the 04 elect, scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Babylon is getting embarrassed on a global level. I mean, I'm sure people would have never thought, to see this level of embarrassment, for such a superpower that's been in a dominant position, for centuries. They're being made a fool of, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, where the hell is, the wise men and teaming? But we know what the prophecies say. And this is exactly why things are going the way it is right now. All right. The prudence of Edom is it's perishing. And that's why they're being made a fool of on a world scale, because they're carrying out this so-called operation in which some people within the administration officials are claiming that this isn't even a war. It's just an operation. But then he's contradicting the Secretary of War, saying that they started this war, so we're going to finish this war. Who happens to be the come on, man. So are we in a war or are we not in a war? Clearly this is war. And they're being embarrassed. All right. And that's why the media coverage is, they're very biased and one-sided. They're making it seem as if, all the Iranian leaders, all I think Trump said it. He said that we done wiped out the whole Navy, all their the leaders and commanders, they're all gone. And so they're making all these unsubstantiated statements, basically to save face, to the world. All right. But you look into this, and the military experts, the ex-CIA, ex-Marines and colonels, they're telling you it's a complete opposite that's happening. So I'm looking at, this little clip right here, for example, right? And, a lot more IG accounts, and even on TikTok, they've been pointing this out, how much munition the West is running out of fighting Iran, and how much is actually costing them. And this is only angering American citizens, because we're already in damn near 40 trillion in the hole, talking about Babylon. But to see them waste this amount of money this fast on a war that they're not even dominating. Okay. So this looks very bad. Okay. And the Lord did say that, he's going to lift up the skirts. He did say, let's go to Isaiah 47. He's going to show the nations your nakedness. This is Isaiah 47, and I'm going to start at 1. And it says, come down, sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal. Uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and this is, later when the Lord does show up, he's going to take vengeance, and it says, I will not meet thee as a man, because he's coming back as the Lord from heaven, man. But look up that word shame. says your shame shall be seen. The Hebrew word here is charapa, and it says continually disgrace. The padenda, rebuke, reproach. All right, reproach, scorn, and you are being taunted. All right, reproach, resting upon condition of shame, disgrace. Yeah, man. So you're an embarrassment right now. The Lord said that this would happen. Okay. So I'm pretty sure all these other nations are seeing like, man, all you got to do is just, strategize. You know what I mean? Stay on course. Like how they seeing how Iran is handling both Amalek and Babylon. So you already know that these other nations, they're taking pointers from this on how to deal with the bully. So this was, this was pretty strategic. All right. So you had some Iranians that were artists, and they had them on some empty runways. They had them draw portraits or paintings of Iranian helicopters and fighter jets on the ground, like just, in all black. So it looked like they're shadowed, because from an aerial view, object, it looks shadowed, on the surface, so somebody flying above would think that there's an actual object there, but it's actually just a drawing of the reflection of that particular object on the ground. These idiots fell for the trick. The Lord said, I would take the wise in their own craftiness. They actually are firing off on these paintings on the ground that they think are actual jets, and then I'm pretty sure they're taking that information and giving it to mainstream media to feed the people. We just took out their fighter jets. We just took out, and this amount of people have died as a result, when they literally are bombing the freaking ground. No jets, no people, and each a missile that they're using is tens of millions to 100 million apiece. So yeah, Esau is looking like a big jackass right now on a global stage. So let me play this real quick. So they like, man, what a joke. Like they're playing you in this war, man. And now, to save face, they got to try to get the Kurds involved. And I'm hearing that from different sources that the leaders of that represent, those Kurdish forces in Iraq, they're saying we're not entering into this mess. You can't just pick us up like a gun and use us. Nah. Plus, they got abandoned. They got played before. So I don't even think they trust the West like that anymore. But I could be wrong, but I'm hearing conflicting, reports about whether the Kurds are getting involved and they're gonna, do a ground invasion into Iran or not. But they would be stupid as hell too. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's how I take it. But this is showing you, that the Most High is definitely taking away Esau's prudence. Like it says in prophecy, is wisdom perished in There's no more wise men in Teman. You know, the Lord said that he would destroy the Prudence. Because this is definitely embarrassing, man. Y'all looking crazy. All right. People are laughing about this. Let me go into the comment section and we'll get to the scriptures. And these people that are supposed to be in the cabinet, you know, these are supposed to be experts. They must have took it down or something because I can't even read the comments. There we go. You know, you see it's just laughing emojis from everybody. They got my man Bob Ross as a GIF. Just so Babylon is being mocked right now because they're not taking the mainstream narrative. They're not taking that serious. They don't believe it. They know that they tend to lie. Because Esau, he's a known liar, man. Their right hand is the right hand of falsehood. Some people believe this is AI. Could be, but I wouldn't be surprised if they actually are doing this. You know, but yeah, because I've seen the other footage where they were actually striking down on what they thought was actual jets. You know, maybe that's a different setting. Maybe it is AI. Who knows? All right, but come on, man. To fall for that. So let's go to let's go to Isaiah 19, and it's dealing with Egypt, which we know is you know, we apply it to modern day America, Babylon. We're gonna start at the 12th verse? It's Isaiah 19 and start at 13. It says, "The princes of Zoan are become fools. The princes of Noph are deceived. They have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribes thereof. The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst of Egypt, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit." You know, like you got, you know, you didn't say before you started this war, all Americans that are abroad, come home. You know, they waited to the last minute to let it be known that, you know, they're going to do something. But the world didn't know right then and there that they were going to start that. And then they underestimated Iran because they immediately started striking right back, and they didn't think that they were going to start striking all those Gulf states. So they thought that American tourists would be safe anywhere, and that they were just going to just go in and just wipe out their regime in just a matter of days, like it was Venezuela, and not realizing that they were endangering American civilians that were in these other areas, over in Dubai, over in Tel Aviv. So now they're stuck. They're having to live. They're having to sleep in the parking structure, the parking garage, basements. You know, sleeping on mattresses. You know, man. And some of these hotels are getting rocked. You know, wherever they discovering officers and agents of both Amalek and Babylon, they getting struck, man. So some of our people that are actually overseas, you might not be coming home for a minute. And that's if you even survive. But they didn't even think to, you know, let's send some flights, you know, emergency flights, and let's get all the Americans back, you know, to homeland. because we getting ready to do this. They didn't even think of, I don't even think they even cared. All right. Because them devils over there, especially BB, you're just cattle to them. You're just another sacrifice. They need death. They're agents of death. All right. And it tells you that in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. Their desires as hell and is as death. It can never be satisfied. So, blood is nothing. They're not satisfied with blood. So that's basically what's happening, man. Let me actually, I was supposed to read verse 11. It says, surely the princes of Zoan are fools. The counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh is become brutish. How say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings? And you can say that to the commander in chief. This guy's a straight up idiot, and he's showing to be incompetent. All right. And he don't know what the hell is going on. He's just a puppet on the strings, and he's being told what to do. And he ain't saying, well, hold on. What if, you could tell that he can't, he don't have a mind of his own. He's just being controlled, and whoever is controlling him that's working for the higher ups, man, they're not doing too good. Because now this is going to be drawn out, and you're not winning that unless you really try to, send a nuke or something over there. And they're even entertaining that idea, because they just tested a doomsday missile, I believe, on the West Coast. If you thinking about nuking Iran, that everybody's going to get involved in. All right, everybody that got the bowl, they're gonna definitely join in. That's gonna draw everybody in much faster if they try to do something like that. But they're considering that, and that's not wise. But hey, they gotta fulfill prophecy. The Lord's gonna eventually make those devastating nuclear arrows get to flying at some point. But we understand, we gotta remember that MOTB, it has to be rolled out. And that's why the Lord is, he got the angels holding back the 4 winds, holding back the winds of destruction. All right. All the elect being sealed. And then, he's going to let loose. But this devil got to issue out that mark. He's going to cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. And what's going to happen as a result of all this is they're going to collapse the system. All right. Because a lot of money got to get poured into, the military industrial complex, which this is what they've been spending on anyway. So they're making sure that the people are getting lost in the hyperinflation. All right. More people falling into poverty. All right. The middle class that is clean dissolved, or being clean dissolved as we speak. So it's going to cause civil unrest, So it's a lot. And then they're still talking about the possibility of there being attacks here on the soils of the U.S. You were messing with them, and now you're giving them a reason. But at the same time, it can very well be all a play, and because people have not forgotten 9/11. They ain't forget that. All right. In the long history of self-inflated false flag operations that you can blame on others. All right. And all Trump is doing is he's making the people become more and more resistant to his administration. Even all these MAGAs, they're pretty much done with Trump. Everybody is going to get to a point where everybody's going to feel like, all right, our own government pose a safety risk. That we can't even trust our own government Well, the government was never. Let me get this scripture, because they were never here to serve you anyway. Sirach 10. Yes, Sirach 10 and 1, it says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. And they're not well ordered. There's all type of mess going on. Christy Noam getting fired, and getting found out to be a damn 304. You know what I mean? Like, and she was a liar, and then they're going to replace her with another liar, right? It says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. So this is what you got in authority. An unwise, a unstable ruler. Okay. And but the Lord got the spirit of foolishness, the perverse spirit amongst the officials, these counselors, these leaders, or advisors, the experts. So let me get another one. Wisdom of Solomon 6. Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 24. And it says, but the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and a wise king is the upholding of the people. All right. But, right now the people, they only feel secure because, this is Babylon. All right. You're surrounded by, large bodies of water. And then you have an advanced military with missile defenses, but you have such a unstable rulership, that leaves Babylon actually vulnerable, So, and when you feel unsafe under your own government, that says a lot. Okay. So anyway, let's go to Jeremiah 49. Yeah, this is Jeremiah 49 and 7. It says, concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? And the Lord have a way of, the Lord controls that. He can make you wise, and then he could take away your prudence and turn you into a straight idiot. Like the Lord made a fool out of John Breeze and what's the other guy? The two Magi's that Moses had the showdown with. He ended up embarrassing them. But they were, Pharaoh was seen as a god to the people because of what they can do. When the Lord rose up Moses and showed the right hand power of the Most High, he embarrassed them. They look little. They look small in comparison. So the Lord can actually do that. He has the power to do that. He operates on the minds, the reins, the heart of men. Okay, let's go to actually, no, I think it's Job 30. Job 32 and 9, it says, great men are not always wise, neither do the age understand judgment. And especially when the Most High, he's the one that can take it away. Job 12:20 says, he removeth away the speech of the trusty and taketh away the understanding of the aged. And Trump is he is aging, and he been trying to cover it up. He been getting these little dark rashes and dark coloring on his hands and in his neck, and they've been putting makeup on it to cover it, as if his ass ain't deteriorating, you know. And we was talking about how Biden, how he was losing his faculties and was senile, but look at how Trump is moving now. All right. Yeah, that's it on that. So let me go here. And I just put this in the chat. It says, when it says the Lord mingled a spirit of foolishness in the midst of Egypt, in Isaiah 19:14, does that correlate with the prudence of Edom being lost? It said, yes, there's a strong thematic correlation between the two passages, even though they concern different nations. But I mean, you know, spiritually, you know, it's talking about Babylon, but who are the rulers and the officials over Babylon? They're Edomites. So that's why they do correlate. It says the idea is that the Most High judicially confuses leadership of Egypt, causing their counselors and princes to give misguided advice so the nation staggers like a drunken man. The judgment specifically targets their wisdom and decision making, and they ain't been making the wise decisions, you know, this entire time. You know, because they're desperate. You know, they're really trying to, you know, because the scriptures talk about how they boast of their heart's desire and bless the covetous. You know, so they thought, well, hey, the planet's about to align. You know, it's about to be a blood moon. You know, this is the eve before March 1st, the god of Mars. So it all makes sense. So let's go ahead and let's carry this out. You know, and it should take us no more than a few days, 4 days. And they were stupid enough to carry it out, you know, without announcing anything. They just did it right in the middle of a negotiation and took out their leader. And they thought that would be the end of a regime. They have a whole constitution over there, man. You kill one guy, they're going to replace him with another guy, but they all are going to fulfill the same duties. All right? They're going to have the same mindset. Okay? The strategy is not going to change. You're not going to change anything by killing a few guys, man. So that was stupid as hell to think that they were going to get that done in a timely manner. This is Iran we talking about. This is the Persians. And now watch everybody suffer as a result, you know, with the Straits of Hormuz choking out the oil supply. You know, 20% of the world's oil moving through there stopped. So everybody all over the place is gonna feel it. It's gonna speed up the collapse. Okay. So going back, it says, loss of Edom's wisdom. A similar judgment appears concerning Edom in the prophetic books, especially in book of Obadiah and book of Jeremiah. Verse 8 it says, will I not in that day destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Here the judgment is the removal of wisdom from Edom's famous Sadducees. Teman was known for wisdom traditions. You know, they got their prognosticators and, you know, soothsayers, and, you know, they got their left-hand wise men, you know, their left-hand prophets. But they saying that they thought it was going to go one way, but it's going the other. All right, because this is the Most High is in control, not you. It's about the Lord's will being done. He bring up the counsel of the heathen to naught. All right. It says both prophecies follow the same theological pattern found throughout the Hebrew prophets. God judges nations by overturning their wisdom. Egypt, God injects confusion among leaders. Edom, God removes wisdom from its counselors. The result is similar in both cases. National misdirection, and that's even dealing with your military, dealing with your cabinet, dealing with how you're handling the welfare of your citizens. Failed political counsel is political turmoil and division within the country. Vulnerability to downfall, and we're witnessing the beginning of the downfall of Babylon the Great. All right. So that's what it is. It says this pattern echoes a wider biblical principle that the Most High can reverse human wisdom seen elsewhere in Scripture. God frustrating the wisdom of the wise. The prophets use this idea to show that political intelligence and strategic planning cannot save a nation under divine judgment. And that's the point. So this is why they're getting a country as great as Babylon following after a rogue ass regime like the Amalekite regime over there in the Holy Land. They're being publicly embarrassed on a world stage right now. All right, but out of pride, it's going to continue on, and more is going to be. And Trump, he has to admit that at least. There's definitely going to be more casualties. And he says it all nonchalant, like, yeah, there's going to be more. But hey, it's war. It's, so you got to expect there to be more casualties. Yeah, we know. And guess what? You're not going to join in the war. You're not going to have Barron and your son and family members go and put boots on ground. All the people that are making decisions and calling the shots and doing all this, I guarantee you, they're not going to have family that's going to be fighting in that. They sending all these little waterhead N-dubs, these little 304 N-dubs and army fatigues to go over there. All right. Just to be collateral sacrifices, pawns. And Iran is pretty huge, man. Almost 100 million people over there. So, hey, but prophecy said that this would happen. Okay. So I just want to touch on this, and hopefully y'all were edified. All right. This is funny, man. Whether this is real or not, I wouldn't put it past there being some truth to this, though. Because those Persians, they've been preparing for decades for this type of war. Because the narrative been out for that long that we gotta stop their regime, we gotta stop these people because they have the uranium program, and it's dangerous. For the security of the so-called Middle East, and they're a threat, and this and that and the third. They're planning to do this and do that. They always done that. They did that with Al Qaeda. They did that with these different Islamic terrorist groups, and then eventually they go to war. And then remember back in, was that 2003? General Wesley Clark, and he talked about the 7 countries that they plan to invade and take down. And within a 5-year span, and then he said that Iran was the last one. Well, here we are. So they had to be prepared. So they make sure they put all their munitions underground. A lot of their apparatus is underground. Even a lot of their jets and some of the helicopters. that China may have supplied them, Russia may have supplied them fighter jets. They got to put that underground because they know it would get bombed easily. So they wiped out the radar system so they couldn't track these type of things down, certain locations. They knew to empty out certain buildings. And I'm pretty sure some of that is happening on the other side too, with Amalek. You know, they tearing the shit out of Tel Aviv. That's a sin city any dang way. So, you know, a lot of them missiles is getting through and tagging Tel Aviv. All right. And they probably knew to evacuate certain places and areas, but they're going to suppress that there's a lot of death happening on both sides. All right. But yeah, man, they're out strategizing from what we can hear from all these different reports and all these different experts. They're being out strategized by Iran. And you would expect Esau to be a lot more wiser than that and not being taken by, their craftiness. So anyway, I'm going to end on that. I'm going to give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And to the next lesson, I'll say, Shalom.